We deal with the known vulnerabilities of this software, which companies can't keep up with. They can't even get known vulnerabilities fixed. And so that's where we come in and we just alleviate all of that pain. And so if you're an attacker, you're like, how am I going to get into this organization? Well, I'm going to go towards vulnerabilities, the weakest link, the cheapest link that already exists and they're out there.
Yeah.
And so that's really one of their big value adds of the gaps that we fill.
I'm John Generone, Editor-in-Chief of Tech Edge. Happy to be here in San Francisco at RSA Conference 2025. I've got with me right here Kim Lewandowski, who is co-founder and Chief Product Officer at Chainguard. Kim, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So Kim, before we get into the deep details, can you give a quick overview of the company, how it started, what the inspiration was, and what you guys do?
Yeah, awesome. So Chainguard started about 3.5 years ago. I have 3 other co-founders. We all work together at Google. And so we were working on a ton of open source projects, and we were early creators of some big projects. Kubernetes is one, for example. We started other various open source tools in the container space. And our last few years at Google, we were focusing on helping protect Google from the risk of using open source software. So all of that sort of background kind of what led to creating Chainguard. And so Chainguard's mission is to be the safe source for open source software.
Yeah.
And so, as you know, many companies all rely on open source. They're not writing that code from scratch.
Right.
And it is risky. It is, technically more secure than proprietary software, but it still comes with a lot of risk. And so we want to be a safer source for all of that open source software. Our main product today is Chainguard Container Images, which is just sort of like package applications that run in cloud native environments. And
gotcha. And if you could just explain for our viewers, why is it open source software so popular? Because you don't have to use it; you can use proprietary, right? But can you explain why it's maybe easier?
Yeah, I think it's just not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
So developers need common databases or web servers or even just the base language images that they're using. So instead of writing all that stuff from scratch, they go to open source world, pull anything off the internet, and then use that for building their products on top of.
Great. And something I think our viewers would be familiar with is the SolarWinds breach back in 2019, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that the sort of thing that you're trying to help protect your clients from?
Yeah, exactly. So the software supply chain, it's sort of a massive kind of topic or space. And so there's weaknesses across the entire supply chain. And SolarWinds was a huge breach that actually was an attack across the build system. So injecting some bad software at build time, which then had downstream effects towards everything. So yeah, it's that type of thing for software or for software supply chains. It's similar to physical supply chains.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that goods that you're relying on or stuff that's used in critical infrastructure, you want to know that it's coming from a trusted source.
Yeah.
It was built in a trusted environment. It's been scanned for malware and vulnerabilities remediated. So that's kind of all the bread and butter that we add on top of what we're doing at Chainguard. So making that super secure supply chain for all open source container images and some other variations of open source.
Great, and I noticed a few of your clients, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. You've also got Snowflake and Wiz, which is interesting because Wiz is in the cybersecurity business itself, right? But
exactly.
They still rely on open source software, right?
Yes, exactly. Those are my favorite stories to tell, is we're helping secure a lot of these security companies, but our customers range widely from, up top Fortune 100 companies, insurance companies, to tech companies like Snowflake, just anyone that doesn't want to take on the toil of dealing with remediating vulnerabilities for all this open source software. And so we're a great option to let their engineers focus on their own products and kind of take this toil away from them.
Makes sense. Maybe even some of the companies that are here this week could be your clients, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Great. I want to also mention that note you've got some really impressive venture capital firms, Kleiner Perkins, Sequoia, Spark Capital. How has the fundraising been going? How much have you raised so far, and how does that shape up?
Yeah, so we just announced our Series D a week ago or so.
Great.
So we raised $356 million with a post valuation of $3.5 billion.
Okay.
So it's been an awesome trajectory from us from starting 3.5 years ago. Sequoia was an early Series A investor in us, and Spark Series B, and so it's been great to have their support and have them come along with the journey.
Have you got anything interesting cooking right now? Any new solutions or products that have come out recently or coming up soon?
Yeah, so I mentioned the Chainguard container images is kind of our core image. Well, we've got customers saying, hey, that's great, you're securing our container images, but we also still run VMs, or can you help us with these library packages, dependencies? So we're kind of going up the stack and down the stack. We want to secure as much open source as we can. And so these were just announced recently, so just kind of doing more.
Gotcha, makes sense. Now, when you have a client, well, first of all, do they tend to be pretty sticky? And then on top of that, are you able to offer them more things than they buy the first year, say?
Yeah, exactly. So especially with the images model, so a customer has a vast array of images that they're using that their developers are building on top. So a lot of times they come in, we entitle them to a certain set of these container images, and they say, wait, our developers need more stuff. So they come back and we provide more images for them. Or we also have some other value-added features that we're doing just to kind of help enterprises with adoption and all goodness there, and a bit of customization work as well.
Gotcha. Now, looking ahead next few years here, do you anticipate that we're going to continue to see these supply chain attacks kind of like the SolarWinds breach? I mean, they're not going to stop,
Yeah,
right?
They're not going to stop, even though the economy and everything's a little bit chaotic. The attackers don't go away. We're seeing the big breaches. One was just caught recently, and so it's not going anywhere.
Well, I've asked some other folks who are at the conference here, and I think someone mentioned that, cyber attacks broadly had basically doubled year over year. Is it about the same trend in the supply chain attacks?
Yeah, I think it's all kind of mixed together, if you will. But I mean, like the attackers today, they're going after those weakest links. So that's one of our big value adds, is we deal with the known vulnerabilities of this software, which companies can't keep up with. They can't even get known vulnerabilities fixed. And so that's where we come in and we just alleviate all of that pain. And so if you're an attacker, you're like, how am I going to get into this organization? Well, I'm going to go towards vulnerabilities, the weakest link, the cheapest link that already exists and they're out there.
Yeah.
And so that's really one of their big value adds of the gaps that we fill.
That successful Series D you mentioned a couple minutes ago, where are those proceeds going to go to? A few different things?
Yeah, so scaling our go-to-market team, scaling in R&D. I run products, so we're investing in those new product areas. AI, of course, I have to say AI. We can't spell Chainguard without AI, so we do have some stuff in that domain, starting AI foundationally on those core images and making those more secure from the get-go, so you're not sort of trying to fix things later.
Great. Well, Kim, we're almost done here, about to wrap up, but I just want to kind of give you the floor here. Is there anything you're most excited about that you're working on right now for the rest of the year, maybe going into next year?
I think it's our new products. I think just being the safe source for open source, we have a big mission ahead of us, and I think for me, it's one of the biggest things that's so inspirational is feeling like we're actually solving customer problems. I've been around the expo floor just briefly, and a lot of the companies out there, they tell you where the problems are, but they don't actually provide fixes. I'm on very much the solution. Let's fix real customer problems. Let's fix real pain in this space.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to be better off. So.
What was your impression down on the floor? Did it look as busy as ever?
Yes, it's chaos. I don't know how people navigate. I get overwhelmed.
So
I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what we're doing. There's puppies over here. There's some ninja course over here.
Everybody's trying to get attention. Get people wearing weird jackets. It's crazy down there. All right, Kim. Well, thanks so much for joining us. This has been a terrific interview. This has been Kim Lewandowski, who's Chief Product Officer and co-founder at Chainguard. I'm John Janarone signing off from San Francisco.